Good morning, students. Today for our discussion, we're having a topic of internet and its beginning. We are having three agenda today. For our session, it's part of the known about internet history. Second one is how internet evolution and how the internet pioneers help. So, what is internet is our first meaning, right? So the networks of network which join many governments, universities, private computers together and providing an infrastructure for the use of email, bulletins, or social media and other computational resources are an example of the internet. The vast collection of computer networks which form and act as a single huge network for transfer of data across distances, which can be anywhere from the office to anywhere in the world, is called internet. So the history of internet. It is started with the Charles Babbage, and he invented a computer, and its computer consisting of 8,000 parts, weight 5 tons, and it is 11 feet long computer. So one of the first computer in the history of internet is discovered and invented by the Charles Babbage. Next one, before that, there is an invention of 1840s, the telegraph. And this is used by the militaries to send over the messages through the wire, which are established at vast distances. And it is used extensively only by the US government during the American Civil War. And they use Morse code, which was a dots and dashes or short signals and long lines. It's a secret code for the military to pass on the message from first battalion to another battalion. So they will use telegraph for the communication. You can see the picture. It is a photo of telegraph, which is invented in the 1840s. Moving to the next slide, that what is the internet in the 1950s? So Union of Soviet and Social Republics launches their Sputnik, the first artificial Earth satellite, and the United States from their Advanced Research Projects Agency are above with Department of Defense to establish US as a leading in the science and technology applicable in the military. So from there, the internet also started. It is first launched by the Union of Soviet Social Republics, which launched the first artificial Earth satellite. And in response, the US launches their Advanced Research Projects Agency, which is ARPA, with the Department of their Defense. Moving to the next slide, Internet from the history of 1960s. So in 1960s, Rand Paul Warren of the Rand Corporation was commissioned by the US Air Force to do a study on how it could maintain its command and control over the missiles and bombers after nuclear attack. So which is a major attack by the US government during that point. So they want to control this missiles and bombers after the nuclear attack if they happen to have them. So how could they give them command to these missiles and bombers? So this was a military research network that could survive nuclear strike, decentralized so that locations in the US was attacked and the military could have control over the nuclear arms for the nuclear. So the US developed this network for the having control of the nuclear arms weapons to send them over the another nation when there is a nuclear attack on them. So the APRA, which we were discussing in the 1950s, was awarded the APRA net and contracted to BBN. And BBN had selected the Honeywell mini computer as the base on which they would build a switch. And the physical network was constructed in 1969, linking the four nodes. And these are the example at which it was established. And the network was together via 50 kbps circuits. So what they're used for? They at that point of time, they are not used it for personal computers. They are used for all the mainframe computers in the 60s only. In the mid of the 1970s, the personal computers will be started manufacturing for the people. But before that, it is only for the military purpose for the communicating between each other. And there was a altar was a giant box with blinking lights, which is a computer. And later in 1970s, the Apple II, which was the first reusable PC for the people, it was invented. So we can take a brief of this internet history From 1972, the Telnet developed as the way to connect to the remote computer, and it was introduced. And in 1973, the ARPANET goes internationally along with the file transfer protocol option. The ARPANET was currently using the network control process, or NCP, to transform the data. And this is always allowed communication between host and running on the same time. So all these are the terms which we use ARPANET is nowadays also using to transfer our data. So in the internet in the 1980s. So the first one is the 1981 is the International Business Machine PC, which was launched IBM, which is very popular one also. And in the 1984, the University of Wisconsin created domain name system, which is called DNS, and they allowed packets to directed domain name, which is would be translated by the server database to corresponding IP. So at that point of time, when any information is traveled on the internet, it is only in the form of packets to the specific domain name. And at that point of time in 1984, the domain name was developed by this University of Wisconsin, and they will translate it by the server database into the responding IP address. They will send the direct data to that IP address or IP number only. And this made it easier for the people to access to the other servers as well, because they don't need to have to remember their numbers. So the next one is internet in 1990s. So no major changes were made to the physical network. The most significant thing that happened was the growth, and many new networks was added to the NSF backbones, and the hundred of this thousands of new hosts were added to the internet during this time. And the first one is the National Science Foundation announced that of in 1985, and the NSF is not allowing anyone having direct access to the National Science Foundation, as it is already contracted with the fourth companies which will provide them access to the NSF. NSF is basically a science foundation which is working on the number of the developers all over the world, managing the US as the leader, and it will also always about the which is the new things going in the networks and what is the new inventions going on. All is uh, monitored in the National Science Foundation, and they are the first foundation which is merging at that point of time. Moving to next slide. The largest network in the world. So in the 1990s, the largest network of networks in the world is established. They will use TCP and IP protocols with the packet switching. As we already discussed, the transmission control protocol and the uh, IP protocols with the packet switching, and runs on any communication substrate around the globe. So this is also a brief history of internet. So in the 1968, the DARPA Defense Advanced Research Project Agency contracts with the BBM, which the Bolt, Bennett, and Newman to create ARPANET. And in 1974, the TCP Transmission Control Protocol is introduced. And in 1984, on the 1st January, the internet with its 1,000 hosts converts in massive to using TCP and IP for its messaging apps. So this is a diagram which will how internet evolved from a time from 1948. It is a mathematical theory of communication through which we can only communicate in a binary language. And after that, in 1998, the silicon chip, which is we every day in each and every motherboard which is made of silicon chip. The internet evolves with this. And till the point of 1965, hypertext invented. The information in the form of messaging is only the evolution of the internet. No file transmission will be possible before that. So after the introduction of hypertext invented and ARPANET, we will created TCP and sending messages with the files in the forms of files, the specific files over the network is possible. And till 1989, the WWW is created, and which is now we are also using nowadays as well. So moving to the next slide. So from 1945, we can access information using electronic computers only, and we will rely on the bits and send for sending messages and receiving data in the bits only. And after that, we evolved to using it cheap digital circuitries, which is made of silicon. We can transmit our message. Then we evolved to accomplish a lot of by having vast network of computers to use accessing information and exchanging ideas. With the packet switching, we can send digitalized data through computer networks. And after the use of hypertext data, which is rapid having access over text data, we will prove that packet switching works on the WAN and hypertext we use to route the rapid access to the text data. This is all from 1945 to 1969, from where the bigger ideas once goes. So from 1970s to 1995. So at that point of time, from 1970s to 95, the ideas we have already done in the 1940s to 69, we can communicate with each other. But after the invention of TCP on a WAN with the help of packaging, we are also able to transfer the files over the networks. And after that, AppNet needs to convert a standard protocol and rename it to the internet. So today we call it an internet, but at the point of 1970s, we call it AppNet. So computers connected via the internet can be more easily hypertext linked and HTML URL, which is also called World Wide Web. That nowadays we can share information or any information we need, we can search it on. And the World Wide Web easier for use if we don't have a browser. We can browse on any web page running graphical user interface text as well. So this is the great efficiency which is accomplished, and the internet of the worldwide has connected the business for many of us to grow our idea from a region to the successful implement of our idea. So the creation of internet solved the following challenges. For example, are inventing digital networks, which we all are using today for social media as well. And the survivability of infrastructure to send and receive high-speed electronic messages is possible with the help of internet, and reliability of computer messaging is now all shifted to the our mobile phone and all. It's all possible because of internet. So we will tribute to our internet pointers that the we use internet today is the work hard they did for us, and the technology standards they created make today's internet and World Wide Web possible for us. So all the recognition I get to for the changing the world is only because of these people, which have done a great history in the internet. So at the end of this slide, we will conclude the session that internet we have used today was created by some of the brilliant mind people, which having their vision and mission, which has inspired many of us. And through the ideas, we are always popular, and we always remind him that they have been very good thing for us. And today we are getting deep for the wide world we enjoy, do the hardest work they did for us. So thank you, students. The session is over for today.